interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 68 of Not a Robot Podcast's DC Comics Review Show. As always, I've got my amazing co-host here with me, Rob.
Hi.
Oh my goodness! For some reason, that's the most creative one yet.
Yeah. And Josh.
Hey, everybody.
This week we'll be looking at Wonder Woman Evolution number 1, Blue and Gold number 4, Suicide Squad number 9, Nubia and the Amazons number 2, Green Lantern number 8, Nightwing 86, Aquaman The Becoming number 3, Superman Son of Kal-El number 5, and Batman 117. Of course, make sure you stick around until the end of each episode to hear our top 3 books of the week, the biggest stinker, and to find out which titles might just make the dump list. But before we get going with the show, just want to say thank you to all of our Patreon supporters who help out with $1 or more a month. And thank you listeners too. Like, download, and share episodes. We get more listeners and can bring you more content. You can get access to our Patreon and the rest of the Not a Robot shows at notarobotpodcasts.com. So with that out of the way, let's get into some news. Guys, what's new with you?
Man, honestly, there has not been a whole lot of new stuff going on with me this week, that's for sure. It's been kind of boring. On the personal side of things, Holly's stepmom just passed away, so me and the boys are just chilling out here while she drove back up to St. Louis and spending time with her family.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, everything is same old, same old.
Yeah, about the same in my neck of the woods too. Getting colder. No snow yet. Nothing to report. At least not here. Seems like every other part of the country's got it.
Yeah, same for me. Nothing new.
I hope that we don't get snow. I hate it.
You get it pretty
not a
bad?
fan.
Lots of snow, do you?
In Georgia? No, we don't really get a whole lot of snow at all, but I come from Michigan, and I mean, not only is that like up north,
Yeah.
but it's surrounded by lakes, so you get this shit called lake effect snow.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to wake up all the time and have snow drifts that were like 10 feet wide and taller than our front door, like just piled up against our front door because of the flat lands and just the cold winds blowing across the lakes. It results in a lot of snow days, let me tell you. But other than that, that's about it, guys.
Nice.
I haven't gotten a chance to see if there was any important comic news or anything with everything that's been going on around here with Holly. So anybody got anything?
There was an announcement from Mr. Tom Taylor today. It's a small announcement. I think it was issue 89. Whatever issue of Nightwing comes out in February is the first part of a question number of parts for a Superman Son of Kal-El Nightwing crossover, which I think we were all expecting at some point, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
He said drawn by Bruno
Sounds
Redondo,
awesome.
and I'm not sure if that was just that Nightwing issue or if it's for the entire crossover, even in the Superman book. I'm down for that either way. Bruno Redondo's amazing.
Oh yeah, Redondo's awesome, but I would assume that if there's a crossover and it's with Taylor, it's gonna follow the creative team that has that particular book. But either way, I am totally on board with that.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun.
And I mean, to be honest with you, they kind of forecasted that coming, or at least some kind of relationship between the two when they were asking Nightwing to look out for John.
Exactly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's about it, though. You guys want to just jump into these books fast as lightning?
Yeah.
Actually, there was one more thing. I was racking my brain trying to remember. I remember when we started recording and I forgot. Multiverses finally got an announcement trailer, which,
dude, I watched that trailer. That was cool as hell.
DC related, it's all Warner Brothers characters. I'm so meaning Shaggy. Super Saiyan Shaggy. Oh my god.
Right. I mean, have you ever wondered who would win a fight between Batman and Bugs Bunny? Well, now you can find out.
And it would totally be Bugs Bunny. Batman's got all the money and gadgets and crime fighting skills. Bugs Bunny has the power of cartoon logic on his side. That trumps everything.
Right? Like he paints a hole on the floor and all of a sudden Batman's gone.
Yeah. He just picks it right up, shakes it off, and puts it in his pocket. Nothing you can do.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be fun. But, yeah, that was it for me.
Well, I know that we've all got a kind of a hard out on this one, so you guys want to get rocking and rolling?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's get right into our lightning reviews. First up, we have Wonder Woman Evolution from Stephanie Phillips, Mike Hawthorne, Adriano De Benedetto, Jordi Belair, and Tom Napolitano. Pretty straightforward, honestly. It's just, a mysterious figure in the background decides that humanity has evolved quite a bit and it's time to test out their mettle, and they decide that the best way to figure out if they're truly worthy of becoming something more or if they need to be wiped off the board is to test their greatest champion, and that's Wonder Woman. So that's pretty much what is set up in this first issue. We also get some fun action stuff from Wonder Woman herself fighting the Silver Swan, but that was pretty much it. I thought it was a really cool start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really beautifully drawn, I think, and it's an interesting story. I'm curious to see where that's going to go.
Definitely.
I mean,
definitely.
I'm looking forward to reading this one.
Yeah.
My only question is Silver Swan really the best choice to test Wonder Woman's mettle? But other than that, yeah, I like the art. The faces were off a little bit, but this was a great story, man. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
It got an 8.5 for me, so I'm interested to see what they do next.
Yeah, I'll sound that 8.5 as well.
Nice. Next up, we have Blue and Gold #4. Rob, take it away.
All right, this is from writer Dan Jurgens with art by Ryan Sook on the present day portion, Kevin Maguire on the Blue Beetle side, and Dan Jurgens and Norm Rapmond on the Booster Gold story, with colors from Ryan Sook throughout the issue and letters from Rob Lee. Blue and Gold are on a talk show discussing their new venture, but get into a debate about who saved who on their first mission together. After a back and forth, one of these stream viewers shows up to the set to explain what really happened, and this is actually Guy Gardner, who really saved both of them. Despite how badly the show went and how embarrassed their agent is, the duo now have a lineup around the block full of people wanting help, including the alien queen that wants their heads. And guys, this is just so much fun. I don't want this book to end. It's going to be a shame for this one to end at 8 issues. This one, not much happened, but I think it was a good look into the friendship the two have. There's a gratuitous cameo from Guy Gardner. What's not to love? It's Booster Gold and Blue Beetle with Dan Jurgens. It's a formula for the ages. 8.5 for me because it's not a plot centric story, but it was still a lot of fun.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but for me, I mean, I'm just realizing that this is just a fan service deal, and it's just going to be silly because that's what we expect out of Blue and Gold. And to be honest with you, I mean, the premise is kind of cool, and I love the characters. I could never not love these guys teamed up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Separate, I don't know, but it's kind of falling flat for me. You know, I mean, I might get a giggle or two out of it, but this one, I could only give it like a 7.25.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's I definitely think it's a fun series. It's I mean, it really has no relevance on anything, but I don't think it's terrible. And I like the art for the most part, but I think for me at least, it'll probably be a much more enjoyable read in trade. I think just having the complete
For sure,
story
yeah.
and just being able to kind of read it all in one go will be a lot more entertaining for me. But it's not bad. Just it's not like really the most gripping story for me. So it got a 7.5.
Right on. I guess I will take Suicide Squad.
Go for it.
That was written by Robbie Thompson with art from Pensica Ferreira, Soy Emealo with Wes Abbott on lettering. And this is the same weird that we have been getting out of this book. The squad is breaking a prisoner out of the science cells under a lake on Oa. And the guy they rescue is there to make upgrades to the ship to avoid the incoming disaster. Then Thanagarians show up. Thanagarians, excuse me, and they blow up what I assume is the ship he was supposed to fix. I mean, Ambush Bug is funny. He's another character that you just can't help to love. He breaks the fourth wall just nonstop. I mean, way more than Deadpool, and I don't know, I get a kick out of his ass. But Major Force is a jerk, and Waller is trying to figure out how to survive. With a team like this, you know that the art is going to be fantastic, even when it's split up. But I don't know, man. It's a cool idea. I'm really not expecting much out of it. And I'm really not that into it. 7 out of 10.
No, I'm complete opposite. I'm still 100% into it. I think the team up dynamic that they have in this book is fantastic, and it's a lot of fun. Some of the characters remain to be desired, but most of the characters I think are just fantastic. Culebrera, that lady that's always with Talon. I love her. She's awesome.
They're all great characters. I'm not arguing that. It's just the story super slow. It's very creeping. You can see everything that's coming from like a mile away. Yeah. So,
but that is one thing about it I appreciate, because I love the fact that it's traveling across other books, and it's not a crossover. It's just like, hey, we're over here, and hey, we're over there. And you're right, the story is really slow, but I'm just enjoying the ride as we go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was, decently entertaining with some pretty good artwork from Soy and Pensica, and I like that Ambush Bug is still part of the team, which is nice, and just kind of doing his thing. The walking in slow-mo.
He's like, oh, right, you guys
laugh.
still don't think you're in a comic.
Yeah, I thought that was great. But yeah, I mean, it's not blowing me away or anything, but it's fun. It's a fun and entertaining Suicide Squad book, and I think that's pretty nice to have every now and then. So this one got an 8 out of 10 for me. It was just was it phenomenal? Not necessarily, but it was still enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm with you guys, and it sounds like, because I haven't done anything but agree with y'all, but I feel like it is like this fun and little loose version of the Suicide Squad on a run, and that's cool. But it's also this super serious shit that's going on at the same time, with Waller trying to run her at her wit's end, that her second in command, the only person with her, is a traitor. I mean, there's a lot going on, and it's going on so slowly, and it's being done with a goofball team for the most part.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anyway, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Lightning round.
Yeah, our final issue for this lightning round is Nubia and the Amazons #2.
Oh, you forgot Secret Files.
I thought we weren't covering that.
Oh, whoops. Okay, I missed that memo. My bad.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's the same as everything else.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
That was pretty much my synopsis. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Nubia.
Yeah, Nubia and the Amazons. That's from Stephanie Williams and Vita Ayala, with a script from Stephanie Williams. Letha Martinez, with inks from Mark Morales and Letha Martinez, colors from Emilio Lopez, and letters from Becca Carey. Really just kind of continuing the mystery of the whatever it's called, that well that they've been talking about. I'm blanking on the name right now. I didn't put it in my notes or anything.
Until you said, what is the name of that well, I was like, and then I forgot it.
I think it's like the Wellspring of Souls or something like that.
Something like that.
But yeah, she seeks counsel from the goddesses, and It's a lot more politicking and introduction to some of the newer Amazons that we met, who emerged from the Wellspring of Souls, and then sort of continuing a plot about something emerging from the gateway that they had been guarding for a while that is potentially possessing some of the Amazons. So it's some interesting stuff. I think it'll be cool to see how it plays out in the upcoming Trial of the Amazon storyline. The art is good for the most part, but not really blowing me away. It's just kind of very standard house style of comic art, but I think the story is interesting enough that that's what's keeping me coming back. So this one got a 7.75 for me.
I gave it the same score. I'm enjoying the hell out of Wonder Girl with Yara right now. I think this is better than that, and that's even with your house art. I think this is a lot better than the regular WW. It looks great. I think the colors sell it real good. The dialogue is even better for the characters. I'm enjoying the shit out of this one, but I gave this one a 7.75 as well.
Yeah, I'll sound that again as well. 7.75. It's a solid journey so far, and I'm very curious to see where it's going to go.
Very cool. Well, next we will transition into our regular reviews, where we'll be going in a little bit more depth on some of the books. So first up, we have Green Lantern, number 8, and I'm going to let Rob take it away.
I am finally proud to talk about a Green Lantern book.
All right.
This is from writer Jeffrey Thorne with art by Chris Cross, not the jump kind, and Marco Santucci, with inks from Juan Castro, colors by Michael Atiyeh, and letters by Rob Lee. John Stewart.
Hey, you got to tell me, you're not just a little bit disappointed that Chris Cross, the artist, is not Chris Cross, one of the rap guys?
Honestly, every time I see that name, I picture the two brothers just sitting and drawing shit.
That would be so sick.
I know it's not them, but that's all I picture is these two kids just drawing shit. I'm a little disappointed. You're right. Anyway, John Stewart has ascended into potential godhood, new godhood, old god? No. Using his newfound power, he flies in to save Kilowog and Hanu from certain doom, and the planet they're on is being overrun by mind-controlled aliens. Lonar, the resident new god with the lanterns, is constantly telling John this is not a step on his journey, but John keeps pushing him off. He goes in for the save and rescues as many people as he can, and after making a giant construct to separate the mind-controlled from the not mind-controlled, John is attacked by something out of Azrael's dreams. Lonar again pleads with John to see the real battle... No, Lonar again pleads with John to see is the real battle here with the people or through the portal where the mind-controlled are heading. John sighs and flies for the portal. Making his way through, he sees more angel guys and one giant energy being with a, oh my god, somebody on what looks like a version of the Mobius chair says, actually, he's mine.
Dun, dun, dun.
And over on Oa, Joe is meeting Pea Fell about what's been found in the Guardians' investigation. Looking through all the records she could, she found various recordings of two Guardians disagreeing with the rest many times over. Other recordings of the two together in secret. They were also the duo that ran tests on Kelly's gauntlet and were Oan representatives for the United Planets. The male of the two Guardians, Koyos, was also the one killed during the attack in Issue 1. He was also seen heading to Xerox, the planet of the clones. No, wait, that's, the Sorcerer's planet. The female, Mnemosyne, however, went to Earth, and that's all that could be recovered. Joe heads out to meet with Simon and find he's getting bombarded by old lanterns to get into the armory. She lands and talks down the crowd, taking control of the situation and naming all lanterns citizens of Oa. Back at the Citadel, Pea Fell is making some headway on her investigation, finding evidence of Quardian Weapon Master's energy in Mnemosyne's laboratory. Just then, Mnemosyne steps out and blasts Pea Fell unconscious, possibly dead. Before I get going, that joke bombed, and I am so sorry. I also feel like I made it before, so maybe that's why it bombed. So we're finally getting some substance from John's story. I'm happy with that. I think this is the first issue since they did this two halves thing that I've enjoyed the whole damn thing. I'm kind of over Evil Guardians though. I really hope there's a better twist besides science or Krona, and maybe there's something else that is yet to be uncovered. Cordians, that's very interesting, but we'll see where it goes. So for the whole issue, I give it an 8 out of 10. I'm happy where it's going right now, and I'm very into the future.
Right on. I mean, I think the story's picking up pretty good. Everything's tying together. I feel like it's been a seed that got planted forever ago with a certain lantern getting a ring that doesn't power off of the battery. You know what I mean? I mean, talk about perfect, right? It's badass. Kelly's Gauntlet now working off the battery too, at least as far as we know.
Yeah.
God, whatever the hell John is right now, the Ascended. It's like we're watching an evolution of the entire Corps, and I hope it doesn't just disband it and everybody goes and does their own thing.
Yeah, we've seen
Love
that
the issue,
before.
art, everything. 8.75 out of 10, man.
Yeah, it was a solid issue all around. Series has been okay so far. Definitely had its low points, especially really those first 4 or 5 issues or so. It's been finding its footing a little bit more here and there. I thought this one was better. Still not really grabbing me. Lord knows we've seen the Corona plot a million times. I don't really need to see it again. Um, uh, I don't know what you could possibly add that hasn't already been added before. But yeah, other than that, I think it was probably the most interesting one they've had so far, which is encouraging. I'm hoping this is an upswing towards a better quality book. So yeah, this one got an 8 out of 10 for me.
Sweet.
All right, next up we have Nightwing number 86. This is from Tom Taylor with art from Robbie Rodriguez and colors from Adriano Lucas with letters from Wes Abbott. As we left off on our last issue, the clock tower had been destroyed, seemingly by the magistrate soldiers, and Batgirls looked like they were dead. But this is the Bat family we're talking about. They always find a way out. So Cass and staff are fine. They let Oracle know they're okay, and they're able to meet up with her later. And basically, they need to organize a plan to get to the magistrate sky ship, basically, to break in and shut down the system and make sure that Simon Sate is brought to justice, while also trying to get the upper hand on Seer as well. So they managed to take out a couple of peacekeepers, steal their uniforms, break onto the sky base, and have some really cool fight scenes, but unfortunately are not able to stop the Seer, which is, that was kind of a big part of their plan, in addition to bringing Simon Saint to justice, which I thought was pretty funny. Kind of just failed there. But they're able to bring Simon Saint to a certain degree of justice, as we'll find later in our review of Batman, and bring down the sky-based ship that has been hovering over Gotham City for the past couple months. Seer still escapes, but don't worry, she'll be popping up back in Batgirls starting next month. So yeah, this was, I think, a pretty solid conclusion to the arc overall. I thought the resolution was a little fast. They don't really have any difficulty in anything. They just kind of arrive on the base and shut it down with relative ease, which is like, I don't know. It felt very almost anticlimactic in a sense, where it's just like you just sort of show up, do it, and leave, and have seemingly no problems with it. But yeah, other than that, stellar artwork from Robbie Rodriguez as usual. Just really, really dynamic stuff. And I know Bruno Redondo is the main series artist, but I hope that Rodriguez can come back at periodic points. His stuff is really great. And it just has such a great look for Gotham. So this one, despite some problems I had with the resolution, it still got an 8.5 for me. It kind of is a book that always puts a smile on my face when I finish reading it, which I thought was cool. But I don't know. I'm starting to kind of notice a trope in certain Tom Taylor books that I hope doesn't stick. But it kind of is making me want to re-examine some of this stuff, which is the I'm going to call it very lovingly the I can do anything trope, which is basically you have a hero who is put in front of a problem. And normally you would have kind of a real sit down of, okay, let me really think about a way to get out of this. And sit down and try and analyze the best way to overcome this problem. And I've noticed that with some of the books that Tom does, it's just like, problems there. Nope, I jumped over it. Got over it with relative ease, like I was playing a video game or something. And I hope that doesn't stick. I don't think it was a big problem in Deceased, but I'm definitely starting to notice it where problems are put in front of them and they don't really struggle with it. They just sort of kind of, I don't know, get over it really easily. So if that continues to linger, it may start to affect my score because it doesn't really feel, I don't know, it doesn't really fit with how any kind of hero's journey is supposed to work, where there's really no adversity. They kind of just address a problem, get through it, onto the next one. It's very systematic. It's not really genuine in any way. But that's really the only note I had. Other than that, it was pretty enjoyable. So yeah, like I said, 8.5.
Yeah, I feel as far as tie-ins go, I think it was well made, well connected, but it does feel like it flew by, and that's probably echoed with what you said. With the resolution was kind of quick, I believe you mentioned it was.
Yeah.
I love the emotion in these characters. It's almost raw. Between Dick and Babs, and Tim, hinting at Stephanie and Cass, what happened between the two of them, and just the emotion in getting onto the ship and everything. I thought it was really well voiced, and the art is still fantastic. 8.5 for me still. I'm probably going to be keeping a lookout for that trope that you mentioned as well, because that there's always been something that's bugged me. But I love Tom Taylor as a writer, and I love all his books, but there has always been something that's been nagging at me. Like, there's something about this that just feels a little off, and maybe that's it.
Yeah, it's, yeah, like, because I kind of had to stop and think. I was like, well, I know it's a superhero comic. Like, of course, they're gonna find a way to get over it. But I'm like, they do that really easily. Like, they just show up and they're like, all right, let's go. Like, I'm ready to take this down, and seemingly have little to no problem dealing with it. I was just like, that feels a little cheap. But hopefully it doesn't stick. We'll see.
Guys, I liked it. I thought it was a good story. It did kind of fly by quick. I think it was all right for me. I'm real curious what the hell's going to keep happening in Gotham. But I loved it. It's a 8.75 out of me.
All right, very cool. Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. But I hate to do this, guys. I know there's only a couple of books left, but I'm feeling really sick to my stomach, and I'm gonna have to bow out.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't feel so hot right now. So
No worries, man.
sorry about that, guys. If you don't mind, I think I only had Batgirls there. If somebody wouldn't mind summing that up for me.
Yeah, we can do that, man. No worries.
yeah.
All right, thanks, guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. Feel better, man.
Yeah, get better.
Thanks.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Now, back to our program.
All right, yeah. Next up, we have Aquaman: The Becoming, number 3. So, Rob, you want to take that away?
Sure thing. Yeah, this is from writer Brandon Thomas, your namesake, in a way.
Of course.
Art by Scott Koblish. Inks from Wade Von Grawbadger. Always love that guy's name. Colors
Yeah.
from Adriano Lucas and Alex Guimares. I really hope I didn't butcher that. And letters from And World Design. So Jackson is no longer in the boat he passed out in, which is lucky since it's being swarmed by Atlantean soldiers. He tried to teleport to Justice League headquarters in DC, but his teleporter was damaged in a fight during an escape from Atlantis, and where he ended up was back in Happy Harbor in the mountain base of the Justice League of America, complete with all the Easter eggs you can imagine. The AI there greets him and shows him a healing ray, and once recovered, it warns him that Atlantean ships are headed for the base. But his teleporter is too damaged to jump that far, and he doesn't have time to fix it. Despite all that, he takes his chances to get it running enough for multiple small jumps, no matter how painful it might be, and he gets it working just as the soldiers break in, and he makes 5 quick jumps across the country to notable Justice League safe houses, finally stopping at the old Titans Tower in San Francisco, where he lands outside in the water. He drags himself to shore, just barely conscious as he's being tailed by an Atlantean soldier in camo mode. He calls Howe and I'm horrible with names today.
Something like that.
Howe, yeah. To tell him he's alright and find out any updates. And Howe found out from Mira that Jackson's mother had been captured and escaped. Before Jackson had time to process that, he's attacked by the soldier who, after he screams at them asking what they want with him, vows to tell him everything after they're done. The fight begins and they seem pretty evenly matched, and just as the soldier gets the upper hand, Jackson's mother arrives to stop the attack. Lucia gets Jackson free, but the soldier pesters on, claiming Lucia is more than Jackson knows, alluding she has Zabellian terrorist history. Jackson punches the soldier's helmet, and they take it off to reveal she's a woman. Jackson tries to talk her down, but she keeps telling Lucia to tell Jackson the truth. Lucia finally gives in and reveals this soldier is actually Jackson's sister Delilah. I'm going to say it. We called it again, though honestly, I feel like this one was telegraphed.
Yeah.
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 I'm so curious as to what this Aquaman event is going to be about, because so far the 2 lead-ins have wildly different stories. It's just a bunch of question marks, really. That makes me super excited as an Aquaman fan.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I assume, maybe it will be some kind of event, tied around whatever Black Manta is working towards, and hopefully the resolution of this will be, Jackson embracing the Aquaman title alongside Arthur, and I think that'll be really cool, and maybe bringing those 2 things together in a big climactic way will be really cool. So yeah, I'm definitely interested to see where Aquaman is going as well. This series has been really cool so far, and just kind of setting up a real set of adversity for Jackson, and kind of pushing him to his limit, and really testing him out and seeing if he has what it takes to be the Aquaman, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that's over. He's been put through the ringer pretty hard now, a ringer that I think Arthur has also gone through a couple of times.
Oh yeah. Next he'll have to lose his hand and grow out his hair a little bit, and he'll be right there.
Yeah, and then just don't go on a vision quest and get tattoos on your chest, because that story was weird.
Please,
I loved that
don't.
whole run, but that chapter was just awkward. Yeah. This story though, this issue, this whole run is just boasting fresh art that I think is great to look at. I'm loving it. 8.5 for me is just solid so far. I love Jackson.
Yeah, no, this one got an 8.25 for me, and I think it's just a really genuinely gripping and engaging and interesting story so far, of just watching Jackson pushed to his limits, but trying to brave his way through it at every time. So I think it's really great. Speaking of someone who has to kind of push his way through, that leads into our next book, which is next and I don't know why I lost my mind for a second. Our next book, Superman, Son of Kal-El, number 5, also brought to us by Tom Taylor, with art from John Timms, colors from Hi-Fi, letters from Dave Sharp. Not a large issue, I think just more of a resolution issue, but I also think, and I know I'm going to sound like a hypocrite, but I know I just sort of criticized the Tom Taylor trope for the a superhero who can do everything, but I think it kind of works a little bit better in this case, just because you have a scene, and I'm being a little obtuse about it, but you have a scene where John is sort of freaking out about his powers and feels like it's overloaded, and he is able to go back to Gamora and save the man who had been on fire, he'd saved before, who had been re-kidnapped by the people of Gamora, and take him to Central City, where he meets up with Wally West, again, very nice cameo, and sort of leaves him and is sort of flying all around the world, basically, to try and save as many people as he can. And, you sort of see him progressively become more and more haggard and tired. And I think this was the point where it kind of worked for me, where it was like, John is someone who's really trying to live up to the Superman legacy, save everyone he possibly can, but, what happens when your senses are dialed to 11 and you're almost like losing control? And we see that happen where John leaves a bridge in the middle of traffic, and in the midst of that tries to save a man who's about to be hit by a truck, and breaks his arm in the process of doing it, because the impact is so incredibly strong that he doesn't even realize the power that he was carrying while he was trying to save that man. And so, stopping by Jay's apartment, he's just like, I need to rest. I look sick. I feel sick. John Timms drew me looking like Gray, so I'm definitely not in the best shape. And that's when he decides that the best thing to do right now, Jay at least, is you just need to calm down and relax and get some rest. And he does, and sleeps for 9 hours, which is something I wish I could have, especially this week. But thankfully, he's feeling a lot better, seemingly looks a lot better, and realizes that, kind of has this really tender moment where he realizes that Jay cares a lot about him, and the two do something that made the internet lose their goddamn minds. So I'll let you read the issue and figure it out. That's going to sound a lot more like suggestive than I meant it to. It's very innocent, I promise.
Yeah.
I'll just spoil it. I'm sure you've seen the images by now. But they share a brief kiss, which I thought was really sweet. Because John has this moment where it's like someone other than my parents and the Titans and Damian and everyone else really cares about me and wants to make sure that I'm okay, and that was really sweet. But John almost has like a borderline SNL moment where they have this really tender moment, and then he's just like, "Oh, I gotta go. See ya." like a kiss and dive, and seemingly heads off to address the fact that he left the bridge in the middle of the road and save the problem, or fix the problem before anyone gets in trouble. But yeah, their issue sort of ends there, and seemingly will be resolved when John has a future showdown, as the next issue is titled, with President Bendix. But in terms of this issue, I gave it an 8.25 out of 10 because I thought it was just a kind of another great issue that really showed John's personality, how much he's really trying to live up to that legacy of Superman and save as much as he can, but he still has his flaws. He's not perfect. He still, especially given the gas that he was exposed to, still succumbs to weaknesses and everything, but is trying his best and has the people that are looking out for him, which I thought was really nice to see. And I know there are going to be some people that are certainly going to comment on some of the stuff in this issue, but you just kind of have to block that stuff out. It's not worth the discourse, honestly. Like this issue, I think does a fairly good job and has kind of been building towards it, of just showing a very natural relationship and really just trying to show that John has people in his life that are important to him outside of his family and his other costume friends, and he's really building this network, and it's nice, I think. So yeah, like I said, I gave it an 8.25. I think this one, the depictions of a hero here worked a little bit better for me than Nightwing. How did you feel, Rob?
Now, before I get into how I really feel, the hero side of this, it was brilliant. The superpowers. How the last issue ended, I was really excited to see how they were going to play that out with John getting that massive power boost, because it's something we've seen Clark go through more than a few times, I think. Mm-hmm. And every time has been a bit of a growing point in terms of his power set control. And to see John go through this so early in his own Superman career is just fantastic, and it just puts him in a whole new level from here on out. As for my true feelings, when this was first announced, I did tweet out on my personal account how much of an impact it has on me. Because if you take away the superpowers, his journey with Jay, minus also the activism, down to the age they're at, was exactly my story. When I realized,
that's really sweet.
Yeah, I was 17 years old, and I had that same breakthrough in my life, and so when this was announced, I just saw myself in that issue, and to me it's brilliant. But beyond that, I also appreciate that this coming out for John is not the focus of the issue, because that's a big thing for me. I'm a huge advocate for LGBT rights. I've been bisexual my whole life, only realized for half my life so far, but I still feel that if we're going to get this to a point where things can be more accepted and out there in the open, it doesn't have to be a big spectacle. Because for all of us in the community, it's just a part of our lives. It's our everyday life. It's just how we live. And if you make the story simple like that, John's bisexual. It's just who he is now. And just, you're not forcing it. It's just flowing naturally. And that's how it should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? It's not... Tom Taylor got ahead of the news with it, so it became a big spectacle because of that, because he knew, and he did say this, he knew that it was going to leak, and it was going to get out there, and he wanted to get ahead of that, and I appreciate that. But the actual issue, he didn't force it, it wasn't a big spectacle, it was in like the second last page, and it was just a simple panel, and that's brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I don't want to speak for anyone in the community not being, you know, a part of the LGBT QIA spectrum myself, but I do think that at the very least my interpretation as someone who, you know, really tries to look at story and form and how that progresses, how characters interact and that sort of thing. I'm not pretentious, I swear. I know it sounds like I am. No, I think
that's the job.
Yeah, yes, of course. No, I think what this series has done really well so far is, you know, show that John and Jay have had kind of a progressing relationship. Like, yeah, they had the first initial encounter, and, you know, John sort of realized how nice it would be to have a friend in his life that he needs and someone he's comfortable around, and then, you know, slowly but surely becomes more comfortable around him. I mean, we had that whole issue of him just meeting the Kent's family, which I thought, like, I mean, I'm usually pretty bad at subtext, but even I could tell, like, this feels like I'm introducing my boyfriend to my parents. It definitely had those vibes, but yeah, I feel like it's been very natural, and it sounds like Rob's dog agrees with me. But yeah, no, I think it's been doing a pretty good job of sort of like building towards it, which I think is good. So I agree entirely with what you said. It didn't feel like it was forced or anything. It was not like, you know, this big like soapbox speech or anything. Not that those are the worst things, but it wasn't like, you know, a big dramatic Macbeth type scene. It was very like natural. Like John realizes he cares about someone. They have a tender moment, and then he has to piece the fuck out because he made a mess. So yeah, it's nice. It's very nice.
Yeah, and it's the most awkward way to end a pseudo date. Oh, by the way, I left a bridge in the middle of the street. I'll be right back. Jay must have just felt so shitty after that.
I know. That's the part of the issue that we're not gonna see is him like, oh crap. Yeah. Was it too awkward? Is that why he totally just made up that thing about the bridge, and then he'll fly by Jay's apartment with a bridge? And anyway. But yeah, no, I think it was a good issue, even if it didn't really move the plot forward. It's just a kind of more like character focused issue with John, and I like that.
If I didn't give my score 9 out of 10 for me, it's
excellent.
Just solid,
yeah. Then I guess we will move on to our final book for this week, and I don't know if this is going to stay in the show, so I'll just say it. Josh, if you're feeling better, I assume you're going to edit this, maybe. But Josh is feeling a little under the weather at the moment and had to duck out in the middle of the show, so I will be taking over his review of Batgirls, while Rob will be giving us the main story summary, the main story, before we head to our top three and our biggest stinker for the week. So yeah, Rob, take it away.
Now, if I do have a thought about this, considering there's only one book left, also considering what book it is, I'm going to say we're about halfway through the show. Do you want to do a quick commercial break? Because also I can really use the washroom.
Oh, yeah, totally, dude.
I'll be right back.
So yes, we will be right back after this. Stay tuned, everyone.
All right, sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, good timing. Shut up, Rocco. All right, sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. All right, are we good to go?
I am good to go.
All right. And we're back. Thanks for sticking with Not a Robot. Hope that wasn't too terrible. No, that was wrong. And we're back. Hope that wasn't too terrible. Thanks for sticking with Not a Robot. Closing out our books for this week, we have Batman 117. Rob is going to catch us up on the main story, and as I said, Josh is not here with us at the moment, so I will be filling in for Batgirls as we move on throughout the rest of the show. So, Rob, you want to get us started?
All right, so this is the last issue of the main Batman series featuring writer James Tynion IV, with art by the amazing Jorge Jimenez, colors from Toma Mori.
Some champagne.
Oh,
we made it!
Yeah.
I wasn't cheering, but
Yeah. Well, depends how you take the issue.
yeah.
So the colors from Toma Mori and letters from Clayton Cowles. So once again, Simon Saint is losing his shit. It seems like the last, 5 appearances, that's all he's been doing. And he's spent so much money on this program, he doesn't understand why a man in a suit can't be killed. Of course, that's your first reaction. I spent millions on this. Why isn't it working? Just then, scanners picked up seismic activity throughout the city, and buildings are starting to collapse. And before Simon can do anything, the Bat Fam seen in Nightwing arrive to end his operation. Now, underground, Batman is fighting Sean Mahoney in a brutal brawl, while Miracle Molly works on the Fear Bomb, The Scarecrow is near convincing her to use the bomb to complete the Insanity Collective's goal. And Ivy's eaten. Ivy is literally facing herself, no mirrors needed, unsure of what's going on. Harley gives her a brief explanation and pleads with her to just become one again. They do, and Ivy is once again whole. Her first act is to save the city, using her plants to spread pheromones to counter the fear toxin. She then saves the little girl from the Insanity Collective and swiftly kisses Harley Quinn for the first time in God knows how long. I'm just happy. Back to the fight, Sean is getting the upper hand, but Batman uses his belt as brass knuckles, which is just fucking brilliant, giving one big hit to the back of the head, knocking Sean out. Catching his breath, he asks Molly if she's disarmed the bomb, and she says not quite. She's rewired it so the fear toxin is disabled, and it will use its original purpose. In an effort to talk her down, Batman plugs her into his cowl so she can see what he does, a city with newfound hope. The magistrate finished, a mayor apologizing for his choices, and a bat signal in the sky again. Bruce removes his cowl and talks to her one-on-one, explaining how he believes in the human capacity for good. And Molly breaks down, drops the remote, and goes in for a hug. We finally reached the end. Thank fucking goodness.
Yeah.
I didn't think about this when I was first writing it, but I thought about it during this recording. Okay, this issue is a series of events, moments that, as moments, I think are great. Molly and Bruce having the hug, Harley and Ivy together again. You have that belt punch from Batman, which was something out of Dragon Ball. It was amazing. There's a lot. It's a series of moments that are awesome, but as a whole, it's just bloody what the fuck. This is an end. This is the last chapter. Hopefully, Fear State Omega has a better epilogue, but the solicitation I read does not fill me with hope. It looks to be. I'll be honest, right now I don't remember what it was, but I remember thinking that this really has nothing to do with Fear State, it has nothing to do with the story, so what the hell's going on? I think it had something to do with either Ivy or Ghostmaker.
Yeah, I think it's literally just like wrapping up any loose ends before we move on to the Batman Incorporated stuff next month.
Which is just it ended as the event lived, kind of lackluster.
Yeah. What's the T.S. Eliot quote? This is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but a whimper. This is the way the story ends, the way Fear State ends, not with a bang, but like just a slow like petering out before you're done. Just very, very, very lackluster.
Suspiciously absent, I noticed the whole issue was Mr. Wise.
Yes, yeah. Is he alive
really
still?
Weird.
I don't know.
Even Ghostmaker wasn't there, but Mr. Wise had a big thing going on, and it really looked like he was going to have something in the background, but apparently not. He wasn't even in the final chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many opportunities, but it's good for tying into the long run. It's just bad for the Batman fans right now, but we have the future to look forward to at least.
It's unfortunate. We had quite the discussion on our Slack channel, and shame Josh isn't here. I'm sure he would have a lot of choice words to say.
I was looking forward to that patented Josh rant.
Yeah, no, I think Rob and I are a little bit more soft-spoken. I think Josh was really ready to pop off. So if he gets a chance, I'm sure he'd like to share his thoughts at some point. But yeah, no, I mean, I really felt the same way. It was just it was a very lackluster, very small ending, and I think maybe I was a little harsh on the issue when I first read it, because I think I literally was like, was that the end? Are you serious? And so I walked away giving the main story a 5 out of 10, which honestly might be the lowest I've ever given a score. I don't even remember. And I think I've relaxed that a little bit. Looking back, I would probably give it maybe a 6.5. But I think the biggest thing about Fear State is really just how much of a disappointment it will be. I still think that there is something really interesting about the idea of this scarecrow plot to shock the city into an evolution using fear. Like, I think that's a really cool idea, and it feels like sort of this grandiose plot that Scarecrow would like to implement one day. But I mean, the way it was just executed was so scattered and crazy. It never really lived up to that potential, which was a shame. And once again, Rob's dog is co-signing me. So yeah, no, it's just really a disappointing ending, and I don't know, like it'll be hard to look back on this run and sort of go through it again and think about the high points and the low points without having that sort of soured opinion on how it ends. But I think at some point maybe I'll do a retrospective on the whole Tynan run, because I feel like there are probably points where I could look back and say that was really good, or that I really liked that, and then some points where it was just kind of disappointing. But we'll have to see. But yeah, I'd probably give it I'm feeling a bit more generous today, so I'd give it a 6.5.
I initially scored it a 5.5, and as soon as I finished typing that number, in the back of my mind I was like, but Jorge's art. And I didn't feel like changing it this time, because every issue throughout the entire Fear State run, it's been getting progressively worse. My score has been getting progressively lower. I always back it up with Jorge's art saved the issue a little bit, but I'm tired of saying that. It's fantastic art, but it doesn't save it for me anymore.
Yeah, it's a shame. Jorge, you can tell he's really drawing his heart out, and I hope that he gets to draw more Batman in the future, because you can tell he's just absolutely so passionate about bringing a craft to the book. But it's a shame that the story just isn't there to match.
Yeah. Now I do wonder if Tynion didn't get that Substack contract, this story probably would have ended completely differently. You probably had a much larger story at hand. I can imagine, because this definitely seems like this is the end of that Future State saga. So the Magistrate's done. How do they bring that back now?
Yeah, no, I wondered that too, and I mean, especially with what we're getting, next month with Batman Incorporated, it just feels like kind of a very last minute heel turn of, okay, we're pivoting, we need to come up with something to end this. And I remember, I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of Joker War, but even I remember one of the stories in the Joker War Warzone, the one shot that they had put out was, it was like this tease essentially of this big kind of battle between Joker and Bane that they seemed to be alluding towards, where Joker was really upset that Bane had sort of traumatized Batman, but not enough, not in the way that Joker would prefer. And he was like, one day I'm going to get my revenge. And I wondered, was that maybe A-Day? But then we find out that A-Day wasn't Joker, it was someone else. So I was still kind of, waiting for that. Is this ever going to happen? Are they ever going to address that? And seemingly no, unless, Josh Williamson has plans to address that. So, yeah, I don't know. It definitely feels like there are a couple things that are just kind of, that kind of got rushed. Because, I mean, I don't want to harp on it too much, but I even felt like the Poison Ivy subplot of wanting to, shake down Gotham City was going to be a bigger storyline. But no, I guess not. They just kind of resolve it by the end of this arc. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully Fear State Omega has some substance we can look back on and be happy about. And I think there was another epilogue issue I was reading. I think there's an annual.
Yeah, I think that's dealing more with the Ghostmaker stuff.
Oh yeah,
so
the Ghostmaker backup.
We'll see how that
I
ends up.
Completely forgot about that.
Yeah, as did most everyone, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see how it all plays out. But as for this ending, it was less than stellar. Is the nice way of saying it. Mm-hmm. Moving on to our backup story, which is something that I was considerably a lot more excited about, was Batgirls, and that's from Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad, with art from Jorge Corona and colors from Sarah Stern, letters from Becca Carey, and that's the whole package. story's pretty straightforward, honestly, but a surprising amount of fun. The Batgirls presumed to be dead after the clock tower had been destroyed, and seemingly after they had helped Babs and Dick and Tim take down the Magistrate Skybase, are forced to camp out in a crappy motel for like 3 days, and are not happy about it. Steph in particular is not happy about it as she's bored out of her wits. Babs checks in periodically to make sure they're okay and not to do anything stupid, but really it's just to make sure that Seer is not getting any attention on them while the heat dies down in the search for the Batgirls. But Steph is like, I can't take it anymore, decides to go on the balcony for a bit, and that's when Seer and one of their little drones is able to identify the Batgirls and hack into the television screen. I don't know how you were able to do that, because this looks like one of those old like CRT televisions, and that seemingly would have no like Wi-Fi connection. So I was like, what the fuck? How do you do that? But yeah, thankfully Steph, with her quick thinking, chucks the TV out of the window and is definitely going to have to pay for that in the bill. Well, Babs probably will anyway. And fortunately are able to start packing up and head out of the crappy motel. But Seer is still out there, and they need to get to the bottom of that case as quickly as they can, because no matter how much they run, they will not be able to hide from the unblinking eye of the Seer, as he says himself in the end. So yeah, it was. I think this one was a lot more fun than the main story. Smaller, certainly, a lot more contained to the Batgirls, but it just, the last 3 backups have been really, fun and zany and interesting, and has me really excited for the upcoming Batgirls series. And I'm so glad this creative team is sticking around, because I think it's perfect for it. And I'm a sucker for any Stephanie Brown, Cassandra Cain content we can get our hands on. So I was already kind of going into this with some bias, but I think this is like some really cool setup for the future of the Batgirls, and I'm excited for what comes next. So this one got an 8 out of 10 for me. It was just really, really fun stuff.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I gave it a 7.75 only because the art was a little jagged for me, but I still really enjoyed it. And the story has me very interested in the main book that we have coming out. If you remember, there was a bit where Barb first showed up at the hotel room, and Steph asked if she was going to crash with them. And do you remember what she said?
She said she was going to crash with, or no, rather, she has been, past tense, has been crashing with Dick. Wink, wink.
Yes, she has.
Yeah. Oh my lord. Yeah. Well, they had that passionate little kiss in Nightwing, so you have to figure that things are back on.
Mm-hmm. Which where the hell is she? Like, is she in Bloodhaven now? I guess crashing with him.
Probably.
Does he have a place in Gotham again? Like that's
yeah, probably.
Such a journey just to go back and forth. I don't know.
Well, my guess is, when they took down the Sky Base, Dick and Babs went back to Bloodhaven, in a very romantic ride-off. Steph and Cass had to shack up in a motel, and Tim disappeared, as he does is wont to do. So yeah, it's I did notice that, and I thought that was very funny, and the face she has when she makes that comment, priceless. Yeah. Like we know what's going on.
Oh yeah, she knows exactly what she's saying.
Exactly.
But Steph and Cass, these two make a great duo. I'm super excited for the main series, and I'm sure the art will grow on me. So 7.75 with a grand total for the book as a whole 6.5. Just feels so weird to say for a Batman book, especially the last issue of a writer's run.
Yeah, it's
in the past,
unfortunate.
So good.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is. I did not do the math on mine. So I think mine would probably be around like a 7-ish or so. I think like a 7. 7.25 or so. So I'm gonna say that's my score, 7.25. Just know that the backup is significantly carrying the main story, which I just really felt was lackluster. So yeah, what do you think? Are we ready to transition to our top 3 picks for the week?
I think we're about there. We have just passed the hour mark, so
Yeah,
we're good to go.
Yeah, I guess I'll get started. At number 3, I had Wonder Woman Evolution. Number 1, I thought this was just kind of a fun and exciting start. At number 2, I had Nightwing 86. Even if I had some problems with some of the tropes in there, I still, it's a Nightwing book, and like I said, my bias is always going to show. I've not been secret about that, so I still enjoyed it. And but my number 1 pick for this week was actually something that we did not cover. It was the 6th and final issue for now until March of The Nice House on the Lake. This series has just been amazing since, really, I would say since issue 1, but really for me has just been incredible since the 3rd issue, where it was like, oh my god, I really connected with it, and I felt like I really cared about these characters, and excuse me, I think I definitely noticed that in this book, where even when it started with kind of the flashback of the main characters in their high school years, I was just like, oh my god, I really feel a connection with these people. And so not only has it only been 6 issues, but it feels like there's still so much we don't know, but I still feel such a kinship with them. And so I ended up rating that a 9 out of 10, but it was absolutely my favorite book this week, which I found to be hilarious because, well, I guess I'll get into that later, but the author of The Nice House on the Lake is, of course, James Tynion IV, who did a not so great issue this week, and that's all I'll say before we get into our next segment. But Rob, how about you?
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun talks about our biggest stinker as well. So for my number 3, I actually have 4 or 5 books in the running for the 3rd spot, which I thought was wild.
Geez.
And I picked one that I didn't have to actually write anything about, and that was Suicide Squad. It was the only one out of the lot that I didn't have to physically write stuff down, and it's just, to me, it's so much fun. It's an interesting book. It's almost an experiment of a book where, as Josh pointed out, there's a lot of fun, but there's a lot of seriousness. And I honestly love the tour they take across the DC universe and jumping into different books, but it's not a crossover. It's just wild. I love it.
Yeah, and I will say this. I do kind of like that they have been really eager to expand the casts and play around with them. It's not just, the standard Suicide Squad that we've seen. Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, those guys.
Yeah.
It's new characters like Culabra, or I don't remember the name. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Match, Black Siren, who's from Earth 3. Really cool stuff like that. So I do admire that. Ambush Bug, of course.
Oh yeah, gotta have Ambush Bug.
Of course.
So number 2, I had Son of Kal-El for basically all the reasons I voiced earlier. This issue just personally means a lot to me, and I think it's really well done.
It's great.
And all the haters can go fuck themselves. And number 1, I also had Nice House on the Lake. It's just been a wild run. It's so good. I'm also feeling somewhat of a kinship with some of these characters, like you said. It's just fucking insane. Yeah. Every issue takes a twist you don't see coming.
It really does.
Yeah.
And the fan theories and speculation on what these characters are actually going through, and whether the world has actually ended, which they sort of address in this issue, is just, it's wild, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and just how this one ended is just
God. It was like, no.
I don't want to spoil it, but I really want to ask you: Did this happen the way I think it happened? Is it okay? Without spoiling anything for the listeners, unless you've read it, are they going to make it seem like he's been there all along?
I don't know, but that definitely seems to be kind of the implication.
He's crashing with the painter.
I know, and just like that whole thing of, again, I don't want to go into spoilers, or maybe
Yeah.
we should just say fuck it. No, I don't want to do that.
No,
But
next
yeah,
time.
just sort of getting to that ending and just realizing what had happened to our main characters, where seemingly, I feel like I'm giving it away, but seemingly they don't even realize what had happened to them.
Yeah.
Just blew my mind, and how that's going to get resolved in the next 6 issues, I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
And it leaves me very excited. So,
And how they get to this kind of future area where everything is on fire, most of them are bandaged
Yeah,
or missing a
still
limb.
wondering.
And just fucking insane.
I know.
And what I loved about, is this a 12-issue run?
It is a 12-issue run.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they have those symbols on the cover, and each issue has a different symbol highlighted depending on the focus of the issue, which character is going to be focusing on that issue, right? And this issue, they had the mystery character. No spoilers, folks. Just go out and fucking buy the book.
Yes.
And
yes.
his symbol was shoved in as the 11th symbol, and it was blank.
Yeah. Wasn't
And
that cool?
Yeah, it was very cool. I loved it.
Yeah.
And just making me think. So we did 5. So there's 5 people left to have a focus on, with leaves a 12th issue. And do you think that 12th issue, or maybe the 7th issue when we come back in March, is going to have a focus on Walter?
I was thinking the exact same thing. So we're on like the same wavelength right now. Where I think, however it is resolved, once we get to the end, the 12th issue, it's going to have this, possibly big issue that really digs into Walter, and I'm thinking that'll be our mysterious 12th issue where all the symbols have kind of been covered at that point. But yeah, it's phenomenal stuff, absolutely phenomenal stuff, which is wonderful to hear, but a bit disappointing in that we will be moving on to our next segment, which is, as I'm sure you all are aware, a segment that is considerably less positive.
Wait, before we get to that, best moment.
Oh, of course.
If you have one.
Wow, Christ! I sort of have to choose. There were a couple
were a
ones
lot.
that I really loved, but it was a little tough for me because I was really between a number of books, actually. Nightwing, Aquaman, Superman Son of Kal-El, Wonder Woman Evolution, all just had these really great moments. Nice House on the Lake. But I think my heart kind of set on Superman Son of Kal-El, and it really wasn't any particular moment. It was just, really just those 3-4 pages of just, Superman, like, I need to be here, I need to be here, I need to be in Brazil and saving this little girl. Like, I need to keep going. And I was so hooked in that moment, where he's like, I won't stop. I have to keep going just to make sure I'm moving and I'm getting there and saving the people. And it was like, fast, but it was really effective. And John Tim's art was excellent there. And if you read the issue, you'll sort of know what I'm talking about.
Which
What was your favorite
such
moment?
a good run.
Yeah.
For me, again, there's so many good moments this week to pick from, and oddly enough, I did mention a lot of moments in a particular issue. I'm picking from Batman, oddly enough, and only because I've been waiting so damn long, years it feels, for this to happen again. That's Ivy getting put together again, saving the city, and embracing Harley Quinn. And
big
to
old
me, it's
like
just
splash page kiss, basically.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming, and they've been building up to it for years, it feels. So to finally have that happen is just wonderful. So that's my favorite moment.
Absolutely. All right, now we have to go to the part that is considerably less fun.
Yeah.
A part where we cover a book that we really, really just didn't like. And that is, of course,
The biggest thinker.
Oh, that's nasty.
and if I had to take a guess, if I was a gambling man, I would say that both Rob, actually all three of us, I'd imagine, the absent Josh, probably have the same book in our biggest stinker segment. So I know for me at least, mine could be none other than Batman 117, which is disappointing to say, but there it is. Rob, how about you?
You are on the money, and suffice it to say that I don't think you were here the last time we covered a Batman, but Josh and I had Batman at our biggest stinker that time as well, and it just hurts to put him there.
Yeah, it does.
But I do have an addendum because I went back and looked at my scores after I finished all my writing, and I realized Batman's actually, if you factor in the backup, it's not my lowest score.
Oh, interesting.
And my lowest score goes to Secret Files The Gardener, which is also, I'm going to throw that in there as a tied biggest stinker, because that one was just like, it's more of the same as what we mentioned before.
It was very much kind of a formula type of thing of all the Secret Files books we've gotten so far. And
that's some interesting parts.
Yeah, and some truly gorgeous artwork from Christian Ward, who I love, but it's a shame that the story is just very much like Batman. The story is just not there.
That was one, pretty much so far, the only Secret Files I was really looking forward to, because I was really into this character and where she came from and her origins. Yeah. And half the issue was spent giving us history lessons on things we already knew about.
Pretty much.
So, like, it's interesting to see her history tied in with notable plant-based characters throughout the DC universe, like Floronic Man and Swamp Thing, and obviously Poison Ivy. But it was just we already know all this shit.
Yeah, no, it's really nothing.
Yeah, give us more substance on the character. There was a hint at the end of the issue that there will be more, and maybe there's something wrong with Ivy, and maybe that's going to lead into Fear State Omega. But we'll see. But for now, it's my biggest stinker, along with Batman. Maybe she's the problem. She's in both books.
Oh my god. Whoa.
Well, so is Batman, so maybe he's the problem.
Maybe Batman is the... Maybe Batman is something's up with Batman.
I mean, Batman's also in Justice League. We don't even cover that anymore.
Exactly.
Maybe we're onto something.
Maybe.
Yeah, kill Bruce, only Robins from now on.
Well, that seems to be the plan moving forward, where Bruce is just kind of going to be going on his globe-trotting adventures while the rest of the Bat family handles their stuff in Gotham. So we'll see where it goes from here.
Which, if I may honorable mention, best moments might be my second favorite, also from Batman, was that splash page of the entire Bat fam on the rooftop just watching the Bat signal. It was just nice to see. That was
cool.
Yeah. They all made it. Even Jace was there.
Even Jace was there.
Because nobody knows he exists yet.
Like, literally did not interact with the family at all.
No.
Yeah.
And he's kind of at the back, so pretty much everybody... Yeah. No one's going to notice this second Batman just standing there, so that's fine.
Yeah. All right, well, that covers it for our biggest stinker. I don't believe we have anything particularly that we want to add to the dump list. Was there anything that you maybe wanted to take off the dump list from this week?
From this week, let me just double check. I don't believe there was.
Yeah.
JLD is nearing an end.
Yes, I suppose I had kind of talked about this in our Slack channel that it just felt weird to cover JLD. I couldn't do it anymore. Not because I didn't like the story, but because it's a weird book to talk about, because for as interesting as a story as it is, there's really no way I can promote it, because that is sort of predicated on you going out and actually buying the rest of the issue, which if you're someone who's enjoying JLD, you probably don't want to read the rest of the issue. So unless you also really like Justice League, which you're perfectly entitled to, but I was not the biggest fan, so it's not really something we're covering anymore. But yeah, it's just sort of a weird book to promote. So I think Rob brought up an interesting point, which is that we are a couple weeks out from the annual that is coming up, and that is that is a Justice League Dark standalone issue, which I think will be easier to talk about on a full review than just a brief mention, as we don't promote the rest of the book. So we'll be covering that when that comes out.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And anything else to add?
Honestly, I wish we could cover Nice House on the Lake more, because I would love to talk to you guys on a full podcast about it. But it just makes more sense in the dump list, I think, which is a shame.
No, I totally understand. No, we have our big anniversary issue coming up soon, anniversary episode coming up soon. Or not anniversary. I'm on drugs. Our 75th episode will be coming up soon, and hopefully we'll have some surprises there in regards to what we want to do. So maybe we can have a discussion / speculation section about Nice House on the Lake. We'll have to see.
Yep.
But with all that being said, that was our show, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll be here talking comics next week, and we hope you'll stop by. Remember to go to notarobotpodcast.com for all of our episodes and our other shows with all sorts of people. With that, there's only one way that we say goodbye around here. Until next time,
be good to each other.
And don't be a robot.
We actually pushed it to an hour.
Just